Science News and ASL. The topic is hydrogen. Now, hydrogen has an atomic number of 1, and that means on the periodic table of the elements, it is all the way on the top left-hand corner, as you can see in this diagram. Hydrogen, number 1. Now, hydrogen is odorless and it's colorless, and it's present everywhere, all around us. It's abundant in our environment, including in your own body, which is 2/3 hydrogen in the form of water. Now, hydrogen is very important to life on planet Earth. Now, in terms of chemistry, hydrogen has 1 proton and 1 neutron, and then 1 electron on its first shell, as you can see in this diagram. So the law in chemistry is that the first shell in an atom can have up to 2 electrons, and the second can have up to 8. But hydrogen only has 1, so it's a very unstable element with the electron just bumping around its orbit. And the first column in the periodic table, all of the elements share that characteristic. Maybe you remember in high school chemistry class dropping sodium into some water and checking out the explosion that happens. That happens with all of the elements in that first column. It's their characteristic. They're unstable. So back to water. Now, water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Now, oxygen has a total of 8 electrons. Now, the 8 are split up between the first 2 shells. The first shell has 2, of course, and the second shell has 6. So what happens is that hydrogen atom attracts to, or that oxygen atom attracts 2 hydrogen atoms, and they bond at sort of right angles to form water, H2O. Easy, right? You can see it here in this diagram of a water molecule. So let's talk about some of the uses of hydrogen. Hydrogen is everywhere in all kinds of products. In food processing, maybe you're familiar with margarine, the butter substitute. Margarine is created when hydrogen is run through vegetable oil, which creates margarine. And maybe you've also been to a birthday party and you've seen kids get super excited about the balloons that a clown might blow up for them. Hydrogen is actually the lightest element. The atom is the lightest, an atom of hydrogen is the lightest element, lighter than any gas. Now, the big news in hydrogen is in cars. Now, you know cars right now use gas, which create emissions, and the fossil fuels are dwindling, and so we really are concerned trying to find a better replacement for fossil fuels. And the solution might be hydrogen. Now, how does this work? Now, in a car, there will be a hydrogen tank in the back. And then in the front of the car is going to be a fuel cell. So when you start your car, it takes hydrogen from the tank in the back and sends it to the front to the battery. So when you start the car, the hydrogen gas moves through an inverter, which changes it using an anode and a cathode. The anode is positive and the cathode is negative. So the hydrogen moves through this membrane to the anode, which splits it. So the proton is positive and the electron is negative, and that splitting creates energy. And then they come back together on the other side with the cathode. It takes free oxygen from the environment and combines it with the electrons to create water, which is the only emission in a hydrogen car. It's clean and it's amazing. You can see here a diagram of a fuel cell in a hydrogen car and a further diagram showing how the atoms are split up. And you can see that hydrogen may be a simple element, but it's very important to our lives. Now, a long time ago in the 1900s, there was the Hindenburg. Now, the Hindenburg is a big Zeppelin, and it flew from Germany to America. Now, the inside of the Zeppelin is hydrogen gas. That's how they were able to float. Now, when it went into dock in America, there was a spark, and that spark ignited all the hydrogen inside the Hindenburg in a gigantic flash explosion. Science rocks. Death. Science is awesome.